Rich Tehrani here with TMC. Thanks for watching. We're at Cloud Expo 2012. We are at the Jacob Javits Center in Manhattan. On our program is Corey Scobie. He's the VP of Technology at SOA Software. Corey, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. It's an exciting conference today.
So what was so exciting about it?
Just there's a lot of buzz around the cloud and API space here. It just shows the unbelievable growth of the app economy and how that's having a material effect on everybody in this marketplace. So we've spent time with customers from all different industries, all different segments, web commerce, financial services. It's across the board. Everybody's a buzz.
So you just mentioned the app economy. I mean, there are literally on Android and iOS, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of apps. How does your company get involved in not only just the app space, but in general with APIs, and what services do you provide?
Yeah, so I think what's interesting is we've seen this explosive growth of mobile applications and the entire app economy, and what people didn't understand early on was the underpinnings of all of that was APIs and how you actually get access to that interesting data that helps drive your Facebook application or your mobile flight booking or any of that other stuff. So it's the economy has sort of generated this tremendous drive towards a huge growth around APIs. In the early days, it was Facebook and Twitter and Netflix and Amazon who were driving that, but now we see brick and mortar companies, traditional legacy Fortune 500 and Global 2000 with an explosive growth towards API towards API programs, and as a result, they're all looking for solutions that can help them manage those programs, help them manage the API ecosystem that they can generate, help manage the open ecosystem that drives business towards their organizations. And we at SOA Software are one of the leading vendors in that API management space. What we do is we provide a platform, we provide tools to those companies to help them generate that kind of growth through their API program.
So if I'm a company that decides I want to have APIs that I open up to developers, why would I need to work with you? In other words, I have my APIs, I can even design my own authentication system. I can say, all right, here's your unique password, your unique token. What is it about what you guys do that make it worthy of me to call you and learn more?
Yeah, so I think what's interesting is, and this is a trend that's been going on for some time, but what we see is the tactical implementation of those various different elements that drive growth to a website or an API aren't nearly as important as the community orientation around it. So with the Atmosphere API platform that we provide for enterprise API management, it has an element of how am I going to implement the security policies and the tokens and whatnot, but the more important element than that is it actually provides a community for those developers to land on, right? A community that you as an organization can brand to your environment and that can actually help you create that ecosystem of innovation that you're looking for around your business, your product, your service, whatever it is. So there's a community aspect and what we'll call a runtime aspect, and we're one of the few companies that has a strong emphasis on both of those pieces.
So talk to me about a community. Everyone wants an ecosystem. It seems like regardless, I was actually at another show upstairs, Info 360, and I spoke with Box, and I talked to some of their partners that are using the Box ecosystem and the Box App Store to promote their form building. One of their companies was a form building company that they just basically host it in the cloud. Tell me, how is it that you help with that ecosystem building? Because it seems to be so important today.
Yeah, it's absolutely critical. When you're an enterprise developer and you're out there looking for pieces to bring together an application or a project, one of the most important things is I'm looking for some piece of technology that shows that there's a user community around it, and that communal innovation is really what drives some of the greatest things that we've seen in mobile application development and whatnot recently. So there's a number of different aspects to that. There's forums, there's the social aspecting, the social networking aspect to it, etc. But all of those things need to come together in a unified sort of environment that helps them through the workflow. And the most important thing is easy access. At the end of the day, you can have security policies that require tokens and various other things, but you need to facilitate the ease of use of that to an enterprise developer so that they can consume your API and build the next great application on top of it.
And let's be frank, there's a race right now to see who can gain the most mind share in the developer world. You really want to build that ecosystem quickly because those ecosystem partners are responsible for growing the adoption of your products and your services, and that's really what you have to focus on.
Yeah, so I think there's two schools of thought there. The first one is that the building blocks, the developers, are the most important part of that ecosystem. We have an interesting perspective on that at SOA Software because most of our customers are Fortune 500 or Global 2000 customers. And so as important as it is to provide a good user experience to developers, it's also important to provide tools to the strategy and thought leaders within those organizations that make it easier for them to bond together, to create federated business circles. Is one of the terminologies that we use to describe that. So if you're the CIO at a major bank and you want to promote your business to the hospitality industry, you have an easy way to expose your 1,000 developers to 1,000 developers at the biggest airline and at the rental car company and at your hospitality, your hotel vendor of choice, right? So there's I think two layers to that level of community building. There's federation at the bottom level with developers, and there's federation at the upper tiers of the organization. And we focus on both of those. We provide that user experience at the bottom level, but also the ability to very easily federate business infrastructures with one another, business groups with one another, at the top level by bringing together large groups, large communities of developers. So.
Excellent. Could you give me an example of that?
Yeah, sure. So one of our customers is a large financial services industry. They've created an API to revolutionize the payments industry, okay? And what they're really looking at is they're interested in two guys in a garage in Palo Alto that are building an iOS application, but as interested as they are in that, they're interested in building large communal circles of other enterprise customers that they have, or other enterprise companies that they have relationships with. So for instance, Delta Airlines, Marriott Hotels, etc., and they can bring together all of the power of that marketing machine, 3 Fortune 500 companies, in one unified space. So the example is really, a payments industry vendor that is trying to bring together specific verticals, hospitality, healthcare, etc., and build specific communities around that. And by doing that, expand their own ecosystem and marketplace.
Excellent. What's next?
What's next? Well, we talk about the life cycle of APIs and API management in terms of plan, build, run, share. So those are the 4 stages, and we have products that address all of those. The next thing is that the 5th stage, we believe, to that equation is engage, right? So once we have an ecosystem that helps plan the APIs that an enterprise needs, helps build and run them, and ultimately share them in a community-oriented aspect for developers, how do we lower the bar for developers to create really compelling applications? Can we bring tools and technology to the forefront there? Can we expose a set of APIs that help them do fundamental things like identity management and sort of the continuity of a multi-channel experience within a mobile application. So there's lots of sort of opportunities for innovation as we build that chain out further.
Thanks for being here.
You bet. Thank you.